It's time for the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU, the official local sports show here in Glasgow and Barron County. And now, alongside John Butler, here is your host, James Brown.
Well, we're back again this week on the Brown Sports Bag. I'm going to try to start getting a parade of coaches in here over the next few weeks because we're going to have new ones. And even though we have a new one, so to speak, as a head coach officially, Chase Landrum here, John Butler's with me here. We're presented by McDonald's Glasgow. You really kind of took over the program, the boys golf program at Glasgow last year with Jonathan Belcher's health issues that arose during the season. And it turned out to be very serious in the end. Can you tell me a little bit, though, about what you learned from Jonathan as being a head coach?
He gave me all the knowledge that I could possibly ever learn about coaching, even from his time in the girls' side to when I joined him, I guess was, it's been 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun and when you've got a great group of kids that you work with, especially the group of kids that we've had those last 3 years.
Yeah.
We had good teams. We had good parents. We still got good parents. Still going to have good teams. Just going to be without him.
Yeah.
It's going to be different.
Yeah.
A lot different.
It had to be a pretty tough situation for you when you took over. I mean, because you had a pretty good idea of what kind of.
It hit hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, I know in a lot of ways, I mean, you guys have a legacy to carry forward with Jonathan, but with your history with the program as well.
Well, he started this program 5 years ago, and this is his team. Mm-hmm. I'm just taking over. Right. I mean, he created the background to this team. I'm just continuing his legacy.
Right.
He started building it from the ground up. I guess it was about 5 years ago, and now here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue his legacy.
Yeah. So what are some things that do you have some different approaches or whatever to coaching? I mean, you were Mr. Golf, you played in college, that kind of thing. So do you have some things that you, as a coach, you bring and that's an approach that you've learned both in your collegiate career and then in high school?
I'm going to speak in Coach Arnett's hands here. I'm going to work them hard.
Yeah.
We're going to work hard, but we're also going to have fun while we work hard.
Right.
We're going to practice hard every day. We're going to give that 110% effort. Mm-hmm. We're going to work hard. We're just try to get every ounce just a little better each day. Mm-hmm. Try to get a little better each day, and then there you are at the end of the year, you're outworking everybody, and it's showing.
Yeah. Prior to Jonathan, of course, going back a few years, his dad, Johnny, was the coach, and I remember a story where they got into some trouble one time, and I think it was, the number 6 hill or number 3 hill where he made them do the grass drills on the hill.
I won't take it that far.
Okay. Yeah, that was a little severe.
I won't do that.
Right.
No. We might run some poles here or there, but I'm not going to make you run hills. If they're going to run hills, I'm going to run it with them because I'm in trouble also. So.
I got you. What are the keys to having a successful golf program?
Just give me hard work. Give me hard work. Show me that you're wanting to compete. Come to practice every day, ready to learn and get better, and play some tournaments during the summer. You've got to get. I think it's always important that you get reps throughout the season. When I played, I tried to play as much as I possibly could to get more of a feel and get reps. Mm-hmm. If you do that, you're gonna get a little better each day. Now, the flip side of that is if you don't do that, then you're just gonna show up on July 15th and you're not gonna have no reps. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be hard to jump right in there knowing that you've had no reps and you've not practiced.
Yeah.
So what I told them, we had a meeting last week. I said, here's some opportunities to play, get you some good reps, and get ready for the season because it's going to hit real quick. Once it starts, I've got, 1 week for our first home tournament.
Wow.
So we got Barron's the 21st and ours is the 22nd. So it's going to be here really quick.
Right. John?
Yeah, that's one of the differences between golf and other sports is in high school golf, once you get them, they should have already played for the previous almost 4 months, right?
I mean,
you get them almost at the end of the season in one
right.
sense.
Yeah, and we're here Most of mine have been playing. I will say that I've been seeing some scores back and forth. But once we start the season, I'm looking at the schedule right here. We're going to have about 10 tournaments within about 20 days. So about every other day we're going to be playing in something. We've got 15 tournaments this year, 5 matches. The most you can play is 20, so I've maxed it out pretty good. A lot of in this area as well. So they're going to get a lot of experience, and this team is pretty young.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
One of the young ones was a state qualifier last year, if I can remember right.
Yeah, that's right, Griffin Jackson.
He's had a very good start to his summer so far. He's down in Muscle Shoals right now, Alabama. He's playing a tournament down there.
Is he an eighth grader? Eighth grader, or would be freshman?
Be a freshman.
Be a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah, 7th grade, 8th grade, he's had a pretty good start to his varsity career there.
It's crazy what he can do.
Yeah. So who are some other guys, other than Griffin, that you expect to come back?
I got Tate Pace coming back.
Yeah.
Then Jackson Norris will be back, and Tucker Garrett. After that, I've got a bunch. I've got 13 this year. As of right now,
Okay.
I'm gonna have 13, which I think is a pretty good number.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Carter Hodges will be back. He joined me late last year when
That's
he came
right.
from Edmonson County. Evan Templin, who plays baseball, he's going to come out and play for me this year, which I think he'll pick it up pretty quick. Gary Pennington, Gavin Copus, Lucas Kleikendall will be back again this year.
Okay.
Multi-sport athlete. Tucker Garrett, he'll be an 8th grader who played a bunch last year as a 7th grader. Tyson Simmons, Webb Dickinson, Wilder Payton, and Wyatt Morgan, another person who's going to be an 8th grader who continues to work hard as well. So I've got a lot of young pieces this year. Got 2 seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Tate will be a senior this year, and I'll have one more. So
Yeah. Evan, I guess, will be the other one.
Evan will be the other senior.
Yeah. So yeah, you
And Carter. I'm sorry, Carter. Don't let me forget Carter. Carter will be the other one.
Yeah. So you're really starting to rebuild this program in a lot of ways, because you had a series of guys who were experienced golfers who played the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, a couple of years ago we had Bo Shelton, Jace Cook, even Tate, and then Griffin was our 4.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember that. Griffin Jackson was our 4 player. And that year we almost took Greenwood out for them not to make it state, and I think they finished 2nd or 3rd in that year in state.
Right.
And they almost didn't make it out of region. So
Yeah.
then that was a senior-led class. And then last year I felt like we overachieved a little bit, especially in the region tournament, shot our best score of the year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we built toward, was that. And we're going to start from about that same point where we ended the year last year and hopefully build
Yeah.
from there. So it's going to take a little bit. We may not play good early, but I think our scores later in the year will be drastically better.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, and you say 13 on the roster. I'm trying to remember. When you get to competition, regional competition, it play 5.
Play
it's
5.
4 best scores. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yeah.
And really most of your better teams definitely have a couple of good players. It's what makes the winning golf teams is, can you get 4 in the 70s maybe?
Can my 4 guys shoot in the low 80s and third guy shoot maybe somewhere in the high 70s? Your other 2 shoot mid to low 70s. Can we get that? I think we can.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a little time and a lot of hard work. And I think this is a group that will buy in and do that hard work.
So you mentioned you're going to play 10 tournaments, I guess, in about 20 days. Have you loaded this team up with tougher tournaments, or are you trying to figure out where they are and maybe next year will be the tougher tournaments?
I'm trying to figure out where we are, but it's about the same as we've had in previous years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay pretty local. These will be courses that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
For most of them. And region this year is at Crosswind, so I've kind of emphasized that they need to get down there as much as possible and get used to that golf course.
There are several different events that are played during the off season down there at Crosswinds.
There's one down there. I've got it wrote down. I think it's next Monday.
Yeah.
So I've told them that should be an event that they should try to play in if they're free and available to do so.
Right. What are some other the keys you think for the upcoming season in terms of, you mentioned them playing in the summer, but are there anything specific that you do once the season gets started, or you just organizing them?
I'm just organizing them at that point. I'm there. It's their job to play.
Yeah.
I'm behind the scenes. I'm done. I'm just there when they need me.
Yeah. Anything else you want people to
know? Of course, I'm not playing as much. I'm not playing anymore anyway, so it's on them. I'm not the one swinging the golf club, so.
Well, in terms of coaching too, it's everybody has a different swing. Everybody tempo putting. It's almost impossible to start getting involved in swing structure. Maybe you can give advice at times on handling pressure and tempo and things like that. But in terms of how you swing the club, I would stay away from that.
I'm not telling them how to swing the club. Right. They know how I swing the club. I'm not telling them how to swing the club. I might help them putt a little bit now. Other than that, I'm not telling them nothing. That's all. They have their own swing coach that they go to, right. and I leave them alone. Other than that, unless they get a little maybe out of whack on their alignment, maybe when they're warming up, that'd be the only thing I would get them back in line with. But I'm not changing nothing. Their coaches created their swing. They've created their swing. Yeah, I'm just there just to be there for them.
Yeah. I guess you kind of help them, especially in the tournaments, maintain an even keel and that kind of stuff.
Well, and a lot of people know how I was too. So, but yeah, I'm there trying to keep an even keel with them. And
do you tell them don't act like me?
Don't do what I done. It will not help you. It will only hurt you.
Right.
But you learn from those experiences.
Yeah.
And I've cooled off pretty good since then.
So. Yeah.
But I was fiery and competitive too. So
yeah, that's right. Well, it's good to be fiery and competitive. It's just golf, you got to back off of that a little bit sometimes.
And the more mad you get, you're just going to continue to play worse. So.
Right. Yeah. Anything else you want people to know about the upcoming season?
We're excited and ready to go. I mean, we got about 35, 40 days before we start, and it'll be here.
Yeah.
Before we know it, so come out and watch us at our home tournament. Good news is we're sharing a course with Barron County this year.
Okay.
Our tournament's actually going to be a co-tournament.
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that yet. It's going to be one day they're going to host, the next day we're going to host, and it's going to be a combined tournament.
I see.
At the lake or here in town?
At Willow Oaks.
At Willow Oaks. Okay.
So they're coming out there to join us this year. It's not really been public yet, but Coach Pippin will probably be on me, calling me here in a minute, but that's fine. But we're going to co-host with them this year. They're going to be out there with us. The girls are going to be out there with us. The lake is actually shutting down. I think it's July 4th. They're changing their greens out.
Yeah.
So they're going to be shut down a while.
Yeah. I think he had told me that last year they were going to be restructuring out at the lake, and so they were going to have to play at Willow Oaks.
We're excited to have them out there, too. I mean, 4 golf teams out there. We'll have about 100 kids out there probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to work out great.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that'd be awesome. And they'll be back-to-back days then.
Be back-to-back days. They'll host on Monday, and we'll host on Tuesday.
Good. That sounds good. All right. Well, Chase, thanks for joining us.
Yes,
Congratulations on getting the job. And I look forward to covering you guys this year.
Appreciate it. Thanks, James.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back. James Brown, John Butler, Chase Landrum sticking around. We're going to talk some baseball and softball stuff. For those who do not know, Chase also umpires baseball. And so he's seen a little bit of action this year. First of all, though, we're just going to start with the South Warren softball team. They lost last Thursday 3-1 to Daviess County. And, I mean, they were the number 1 team in the state going in. They basically had the same team that they had last year that made it to the semifinals and lost to Henderson County last year 2-0 in the semifinals. That was just shocking exit.
Well, it's an upset. I can't go shocking. I mean, the 3 of the top 4 teams in the state were in the upper bracket.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
yeah.
Henderson County, Daviess County, South Warren.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were like ranked 1, 2, and 4, something like that.
Yeah, Assumption and Greenwood were the ones that broke it up, and they weren't.
Yeah, Assumption
didn't make it.
Assumption's and Assumption is in the bottom bracket
right,
too. But so losing to, it's an upset. I mean, I thought South Warren had the best team all year. 2 runs was the lowest they had scored. However, that was the game before against Warren East.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And so to lose to 3-1, it's a tough draw. I mean, I don't care how powerful, how good you are. You kind of like to get a little bit better draw where you kind of get into a flow of a tournament a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And but it is, it's disappointing. From 4th region perspective, you want your teams to do well up there. And And South Warren is legitimately good, but they, it's got beat. They had played Davies County, I believe, earlier in the year, and I think it was close.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they're disappointed because you only get – they'll be preseason number one in the state again next year. They got all their pitchers back. They got McLean, Hudson back. All their best players are back.
Yeah.
But, they were number one all year this year. And, sometimes that pressure – and it may not have gotten to them. They might have just got beat. Sometimes that happens. You just got beat. I know they got beat 3-1, and they got a runner thrown out at third. Runner got thrown out at home. Some of those quirky things that
I think they had a couple of errors and like defensive errors. They did a lot of things they didn't do much during the regular season.
And plus, they were playing a team that was good enough to take advantage of it, too.
Yeah, that's right.
And Davies County was one of those teams. So, I was looking to see if they played, and I thought they had played earlier in the year, and Davies County went on and lost the next round to Henderson County, who had knocked South Warren off the year before. Davies County was 27-4, so It's not like they were 8-20.
Yeah,
but was it disappointing? Disappointing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I guess Henderson County would have to be the favorite.
Them are Assumption.
Yeah.
Assumption's in the bottom bracket. I know Assumption is one of the teams that beat Greenwood this year too.
Right.
So it probably will come down to one of those two teams.
Well, and what was interesting too is Henderson County beat North Laurel in the first game of their tournament, and that's the team they beat in the finals last year, 12-0. I think the score of this one though was 6-0 or 3-0, something like that.
Yeah, you got Scott County and Henderson County, and Assumption and Lawrence County.
Yeah.
And I don't think Lawrence County's going to win.
No.
They got a good draw. They beat Taylor in the quarterfinals, 3-2. Taylor was
they were all right.
A little bit better than average, but nothing great.
Yeah. And then on the baseball side, South Warren lost to McCracken County 9-4 on Sunday.
It's a quarterfinal game.
Yeah, quarterfinal game because everything had been moved back from Saturday because of weather had
Well, they
interrupted.
came back, and they had a tremendous comeback, I think, to win their first game, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat Highlands in their first game. Yeah. And
I think it was a walk-off at the end, wasn't
ninth inning.
Yeah.
6-5.
Yeah, something like that,
Highlands.
another walk-off. Yeah, they had to come back and beat Fort Thomas Highlands.
Yeah. So, but their run ended, and McCracken County, I believe it was McCracken County that lost to Pleasure Ridge Park last year in the state final. And, they look pretty good again this year.
McCracken, since they have been formed as a school, they have won the region every year in baseball.
Wow. Yeah.
Not won the state. They've been in the state finals, but they have won the region every year.
Well, and what was interesting, too, I think, that was Heath and Lone Oak, and I don't remember the other school that was formed in that, but Lone Oak and Heath were like two of the better baseball programs in the state before the consolidation.
Yeah, you got a who's who in the state semifinals in baseball. You got
you
McCracken versus Pleasure Ridge Park, which is the defending state champion. I think PRP's won more titles than maybe anybody.
Yeah.
Historically powerful program in Louisville. And then the other one, you got Trinity, who's always loaded and so forth.
Yeah.
Versus Boyd County, which doesn't quite fit with those other three.
Although Boyd has apparently been a pretty good baseball program in recent years.
Boyd County up in Ashland.
Yeah. And, Trinity knocked off Taylor County on Saturday. That was 6-2.
They beat the pitcher for Taylor, who committed to Tennessee.
Yeah.
He allowed one earned run all year. Now, in defense of McLean, he pitched 2 days before, came in relief and pitched 3 innings. So I don't think they probably got his best stuff, but still.
Yeah, they were trying to ride him to the finish line, I guess, as best they could.
Well, to get to the next weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
So where they changed the state tournament, I'm not really sure it was necessary in softball other than just trying to be fair.
Yeah.
But you play the first 2 rounds one weekend, then you come back the next weekend, and you could theoretically win the state tournament by pitching 2 pitchers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you have the days off and so forth. Softball, they do the same thing. I don't think you have to do it that way, but now for McCracken County, that's a long trip back and forth. But
True.
But they've tinkered with baseball so many times. They tried the sectionals for a while. They tried just 16 teams and single elimination. They've tried everything, and this is a format they've gone with the last couple of years.
I like the sectional format that they used to have.
It's okay. Other than I just don't think you get if you're one of the 16, you don't quite get the feel of the state tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I know when Barron made it that one year when Coach Gillen was coaching, they went to Henderson County and played, and it's just, you're in the state tournament, but it doesn't quite feel like you're in the state tournament if you get knocked out.
I think the reason I liked it is it kind of mirrored the college baseball experience in a way, where you have that regional, that you play, and then you have that super regional series, and that kind of felt like a thing that I like the way that feels.
Right.
The state tournament like this, I know you get to go to Lexington and everybody's there and all that
Play at
jazz.
a big ballpark.
Yeah.
It has that feel to it a little bit.
Yeah, but it kind of it's like got its own thing. It doesn't have that college baseball feel, which I like the way that college baseball feel works out. But that's me. Apparently, not everybody agrees.
Well, I think it's up to debate. They change it all the time.
Well, they'll get back to it at some point. Because I mean, whenever Glasgow won the region in 2004, they played a best of 3 against Heath over at Bowling Green High School, and so that was, I guess, that was my first experience with that because they didn't have that kind of setup in Mississippi. Also, I covered schools in Mississippi that weren't very good at baseball, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. Postseason was short. Anything else about the high school baseball, softball you can think of?
I mean, McCracken and PRP have played once this year. McCracken won the first game they played 5-2, so PRP may be looking for a little revenge.
Yeah.
In the semifinals.
Be a good game. Be a good game. Those are 2 really good programs.
Yeah. Year in and year out. I mean, actually, I think 3 of these teams are the same ones that were in the Final Four last year in baseball. Boyd County, I think, was the only one that wasn't. I think Trinity, PRP, and McCracken were all there last year.
Yeah, well, 3 of them are some of the big names for sure.
Trinity's probably maybe a favorite, maybe over the other 2.
I think so.
I think so. They're 36-3. I mean, and they play a hard schedule. So
yeah. Well, all right. This is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Did you guys catch, I know John Butler did you guys catch the college softball championship series?
Every game.
I watched a little of it. I mean, as much as I could.
Yeah, so I thought that was about the wildest series in a lot of ways.
We're talking about Texas Tech, Texas, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, the first game was wild because of the crazy.
What was that call at second base?
It was. It's either the rule is wrong or the interpretation is wrong.
That rule.
Yeah, we're talking about the what's it called? Blocking of the base.
Yeah,
blocking the base.
Yeah. What's the official term for it?
Is it
obstruction?
Yeah, obstruction.
Yeah, the one at second was horrible. I mean, she was out from me.
She was out from us to the door.
She's
out 10 feet. And the way they have interpreted the rule in softball, because there was a play earlier in another game in which a girl maybe had her toe in front of third base. Mm-hmm. And the play was out, but they called obstruction because it was not a clear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this obstruction called the same thing at second. She was way out, and she wasn't really blocking. In fact, her body was to the side.
Yeah.
Her half her foot was across the base, and the umpire correctly called her out. And then on review, they overturned it. And they've got to somehow bring a little common sense, because sometimes the people who are interpreting these rules, I don't think played.
Well, right. Yes.
Yeah, because I don't know what you're supposed to do. They had a similar play in baseball. It was Oregon. It was the Oregon series in which Oregon lost, and an Oregon player was coming home for the tying run in the I think the 9th inning or 8th inning, and the catcher was blocking the home plate without the ball. The ball bounced over it, and he ran into him, and instead of score, they caught him out and threw him out of the game.
Well, that's a similar thing happened at the state tournament with
threw him out.
South Warren and Highlands.
Yeah,
with Rardon coming in at home plate.
Like as a
about the same
former
thing.
player, I don't know what you're supposed to do when they're in your. I mean,
Yeah.
do you just stop and walk around, or say, "Excuse me"? Now, I understand you probably don't
Excuse
want.
me, I'd like to have home
You don't
plate,
want to do
please.
the Pete Rose just
Yeah.
shoulder and just kill somebody that way, but
Right.
you don't have a whole lot when you're trying to win a game or a tournament or a sectional or a high school or whatever. I mean, I know safety is always an issue, but there's got to be there's got to be a little common sense and so forth. And either the rules need to change a little bit, if that needs, or maybe it's just a bad interpretation. But they were studying it, and you could see the people on TV that were at the office in, I think, Philadelphia for softball. And they were looking over, and it took them. The other thing is, it took them 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is it
absurd.
takes way too long and so forth. And they came up with a rule. It just didn't make sense. I'm glad for Texas, it didn't ultimately have changed things. They came back and won.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the series.
Yeah. Well, and they won that game too on another curious situation where they Texas Tech's coach asked his $1 million pitcher to
That's right.
intentionally walk someone.
That's right. And she threw it down the middle of the plate.
Yeah, not used to intentionally walking people.
Yeah, they
She's
came
used to
back and won that
intentionally
game.
striking them out. And the girl
Scored
hit
2
the
runs.
intentional walk in the right field, I think.
Right, yeah. But it was a fascinating series. I mean, Texas Tech had the dominant pitcher, the $1 million pitcher who signed for over $1 million. She left Stanford. And Texas eventually just figured she pitched 3 straight games.
Right.
Which you can do in softball, you can't really do in baseball. But after seeing her so many times through the order, I don't know how much fatigue she had. I'm sure she was more tired after the third game than the first game. But I also think from a hitting perspective, you tend to start to time pitches and so forth. And the third game, I think they scored 6 runs in the first inning.
Yeah.
And just knocked her out.
Yeah, they jumped on her. I think they hit a home run in that inning. I think it was a 3-run home run. And you could tell that Texas really just kind of had it lined up.
And Texas did not pitch their best pitcher the second game.
No, they lost the first one and had confidence that.
No, Texas won the first one.
They had confidence that no matter what, that they were going to get to that third game, and so of course they did. But what was interesting in that third game is the Kennedy's pitches I thought were kind of in the same places they had been, but Texas was adjusting. Like I think the home run, the girl just opened up and hit an inside pitch over the fence.
Well,
so,
it's just like in a normal baseball game. Generally, pitch the third time around in order.
Yeah,
you start to kind of get a feel. Well, this time it's not the third; it's like the 9th time around.
right.
You've seen her 3 games, and by the time you come around, you got a pretty good idea what's going on. And you know.
On the baseball front, big news for Louisville.
I was there.
Did you go up there and
I
watch?
certainly did. I was there.
Beat Miami, 3-2?
3-2, yeah.
In the deciding
game?
game?
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. From a Louisville fan and perspective, 2 weeks ago I wouldn't give them a nickel. They lost their last 3 series, and including in losing their last 3 ACC series, they lost a midweek game to awful Bellarmine.
Yeah.
Who's won like 8 games. And then they go to the ACC tournament and get beat first game by Pittsburgh. So they almost had like a reset. Their resume was good because they had beaten so many good teams throughout the year. So they had a good resume, and they got their catcher back, who's a really good player, good hitter, and so he was back for the tournament. And they went over in Vanderbilt and went 3-0. They beat East Tennessee, then Vanderbilt, then Wright State, and pitched great. The kid from Bowling Green, Patrick Forbes, has been fantastic here lately. And that set them up with Miami and won the first one, lost the second one, and a nail-biter won yesterday 3-2. And all of a sudden, with Tennessee out, with number 1, with Texas out, with Vanderbilt's gone. Louisville's got a legitimate shot. Because they can flat their lineup 1 through 9, they can flat hit. It's their pitching that's been questionable, but Patrick Forbes, who missed part of the year with a forearm injury, he's back and he's their ace. And yesterday started a left-hander, freshman, and he was great. Went 7 innings. He's been pitching tremendous. And their number 1 reliever is a freshman from Trinity. He came in and pitched 3 yesterday and didn't give up a run. So they're got a chance. You know, they've been there. This is their 6th trip since McDonald's taken over. Haven't won it yet.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, suddenly Kentucky, Chase, is a baseball state. Did you know this?
Murray, you got Murray State.
Got
Duke
Murray.
tonight as well
Murray
in
and
Game
Duke.
3.
That's
So
cr-
you could
that's-
have 2 Kentucky teams
Yeah.
in the last 8.
That's incredible.
That's
Murray
incredible.
is not really known for baseball.
No, I
But
know.
they went down last week, and they were in the same regional of Western.
Yeah.
Now, if you was going to tell me
You had Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Western, and Murray, who would get out?
The odds were not in their favor.
No, I would have thought Western
thought
over.
Western had a good chance.
That's correct, and that kind of makes the loss of Western even worse.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, you could understand if Georgia Tech, Ole Miss won it out, okay, but Murray.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I remember last week we were talking about it. They were going to play that last game last Monday against Ole Miss, and I mean, you had mentioned I just don't know if they have the pitching. Well, it turns out they didn't necessarily have the pitching, but they had the hitting.
Yeah, they won 14-13.
Yeah.
They had to hang on.
Right.
That's very, and they pitched that was on Monday. They pitched their starting pitcher on Friday and Saturday. Both pitched in that Monday game too. They came right back and said, "Let's go." So yeah, they were up like 14-4 at one time.
Right.
And end up being 14-13. In fact, it was bases loaded with 2 outs, and it was up 14-13, and the pitcher wormed his way out of it. So, yeah, I'm for Murray. I guarantee all the Duke haters of the state too are going to probably be big Murray fans as well.
Yeah, it's the only game tonight. I think it's at 6 o'clock. Murray State and Duke, and the winner goes on to the World Series.
It'd be a great story. For
Yeah.
Murray.
Murray put up 19 runs yesterday.
Yeah, 19 to 9.
So.
That's right. Yeah, they did. They won that game 19-9. That's crazy. Yeah, so I mean, we have some real interest in the College World Series here locally, I guess, because I'm sure there are Kentucky players on Murray. I haven't even looked at their roster.
I haven't either.
So I mean, because I didn't expect that to be a thing to be concerned about. But yeah, I'm interested to check that out tonight. So who do you think is going to win the World Series now? If you don't pick Louisville,
If I don't pick Louisville, I'll go with Arkansas.
yeah,
Arkansas is pretty darn good and so forth. I'd go with Arkansas. Obviously, I'm for Louisville, and I think they got a great shot. I think they're going to play Oregon State,
yeah,
who's really good too, to say the least. I mean, if you get there, you're going to be good, but there's still levels of good too.
yeah.
But I think Arkansas will probably be the favorite, them and Oregon State, and everything at SEC will be promoted as good. LSU,
Oh yeah.
you know, will be.
LSU is a school that drives me crazy when it comes to college baseball because every year during the course of the season I'll see them and I think, well, this is the year that LSU is actually not very good. Next thing you know, they're up there with a chance to win the World Series, and you're like, I don't know where they came from, because I mean, like this year they're good, but I mean they were fine in the SEC. They weren't a powerhouse LSU program, and what was it, a couple of years ago when they won it, they were kind of like that. They kind of were the other team in the SEC.
Yeah, they had Paul Skeens too.
Right.
Yeah. There helps.
Probably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that's the thing about LSU is that, like, you never know how good their people really are until you get to see them on a stage like this, and you're like, oh, they really are that good. Because just during the regular season, they just kind of churn along.
It's true for college baseball in general.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like college football that they're on every national TV every Saturday. You know, you have to most people won't pay attention if they do at all to the World Series.
Right. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Because on this last segment, I'm going to let you guys kind of chat as two former college athletes, but we're going to let John set it up. So this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown, John Butler, Chase Landrum joining us today. Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, and we're going to close out this last segment. John had texted me earlier, and I'd seen this thing about the House settlement.
House is the name of the plaintiff, Eddie House.
Yes.
Not House of Representatives or anything like that.
Right. Eddie House, who later played for the Miami Heat, I think.
I think it was Eddie House. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's right.
So, and it was basically there were several lawsuits out there, and
Former NCAA athletes.
yeah, and they were all kind of consolidated together into one decision, and the judge in California signed off on the decision, and in essence, it will now allow the colleges to directly pay the athletes instead of having these kind of outside third-party payment systems that they have set up at the moment. But it goes into effect July 1, I guess, is they have to make a decision. I guess that's because that's beginning of the fiscal year for the schools, and so that's where that July 1 deadline comes from, or beginning comes from. And so but it sets off a series of very interesting things, I think, for college athletics going forward. And I was going to let John talk about this, and Chase, you guys both played college sports. And so I'm sure you have some thoughts on that from the college sports perspective, but generally just as fans of college sports, how this affects things. Well, tell us a little bit, John.
All right. Well, it established the good news is there's at least some form of guidance, I guess. That's the good news. At least there's something.
Right.
It's a 10-year deal, and there's like 3 parts to it. I think the first big part is as you mentioned, schools beginning this year, 25-26, can pay direct payments, not pay for they can just pay.
Yeah.
Up to 20 million to 21 million per year to direct payments any way they want to their athletes.
Right. Now that's not they could pay 21 to one person.
Yeah, they could give somebody 21, but that's not what we're going to do. So it gives the schools the latitude, I guess you could say, to decide how they want that money to go.
Right.
What I've seen so far is most of it's going to go to football.
Yeah.
Like 70% of that, because that's the biggest generator of revenue.
Right.
They didn't have to be, but that's what they're going to. And then a lot of it's going to go to men's basketball. Maybe 15-20%. And then other than that, schools can decide how much they want to give to baseball, women's basketball, volleyball is popular, softball is popular. It's going to be some tough decisions, and I think what's going to be really tough is the way it's been here lately. Nobody knows what anybody gets. It's all behind the scenes and so forth. Now it's going to be public record, and you're going to know exactly what the offensive lineman at Texas is getting.
Yeah, it's going to be like the contracts you see in professional sports.
Yeah, so schools are it's going to be some tough choices, because if you have a lot, we'll take Louisville. We were just speaking about Louisville. Their women's volleyball team got beaten in the national finals last year. It's a big-time program.
Yeah.
Their baseball team is in the College World Series.
Yeah.
What do how much you going to give to the football? How much are men's basketball? Women's basketball successful there? Just like at Kentucky.
Yeah.
What do how you going to divide that money is it's going to be really interesting. I think you're going to get some people's feelings hurt. And you're just going to kind of see how it goes. And I don't think right now that Title IX, it requires equity between the gender. I don't know if that's going to be really pushed right now.
Well, and
for a couple reasons, but I don't think so.
Yeah, the thing about the Title IX is it doesn't address payments. It doesn't address money, because you didn't have to have the same number of scholarships. You had to have the same quality of facilities and that kind of stuff, and that's what Title IX predominantly addressed. So this is a whole new ball of wax in terms of how Title IX could be enforced.
2, they set out. Now this $20 million does not include NIL. That's the confusion.
That's a completely different.
Athletes can still, in addition to getting paid, let's just say you're getting paid $20,000 from your school.
Right.
NIL is a whole different deal.
Right.
And NIL is still out there, but all the NIL is now going to go under a commission called College Sports Commission. It's kind of like the old NCAA enforcement.
Yeah.
And all NIL deals more than $600 has to go through this clearinghouse.
Yeah. Deloitte is going to handle
and
it.
It has to be approved.
Yes, that's right.
So Joe Booster at UK cannot just funnel supposedly money to a quarterback.
Right.
It's got to be through an NIL deal, like advertise for whatever. So we'll see how that works, and B, are they going to actually have the ability to enforce it? And what are they going to do? Are you going to suspend a player? Are they going to they've got to work out those details.
Yeah, there's still some details to be worked out on that front. And there's still going to be some legal challenges, like you mentioned with the Title IX. There's no telling what comes from that. But also when you have the equity or inequity of the different sports programs. I mean, you're guaranteed there'll
it's
be
going to
some
be lawsuits.
Yeah.
And that's why ultimately they're going to have to get, and I'm not a big fan of Congress, but they're going to have to get some federal oversight.
Yes.
Because if not, you're opening yourself up to 50 states like Tennessee. They've been one of the world's worst. And Texas, who will just come in and just go, we're going to pass a law that goes directly against any of this stuff.
right.
And then
Yeah.
then you're right back into it. So they're going to have some type of federal oversight that basically takes Tennessee and Texas's power away. If not, these states can just torpedo this thing constantly.
Yeah.
And the third part is there's roster limits now.
Yeah.
Football, I hope they can get by on 105 scholarships.
Not gonna happen.
105.
What are they going to do with the people who are supposed to be on the scout team?
It's just incredible. Basketball, men and women gets 15.
Uh-huh.
That includes walk-ons now. We're talking
Yes.
about roster
Right.
limits,
Yes,
not
yes,
scholarships.
yes.
Roster limits.
It's more like the NFL hard roster
15
limit,
for that, I think.
which has 53, I think, for the
34,
NFL.
34 for baseball. I think it's 25 for softball. You don't need as many pitchers in softball. That's
Right.
the difference. So you got all this stuff going. We'll see where it's going. It's better than it was because there was no rules.
Yeah. My
But,
favorite thing about this whole thing is the College Sports Commission that is going to be the oversight of, the I guess this whole
NILs.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
the NIL stuff.
The
and all that.
NCAA is just going to deal with grades.
Yeah, well, so-
Grades and academic or whatever, and run tournaments. But
yeah,
that's all they're
I mean, they've basically said to the NCAA, you were terrible at enforcing rules anyway, so we're going to enforce them ourselves. But it makes me think of the book Animal Farm, because you went from the guys, the farmer running the farm, to the pigs running the farm. It's just they just moved up and dressed up like they're the farmers, because that sports commission is primarily comprised or managed from the power conference of the SEC, the Big 10, Big 12, and ACC. Even though it's considered a separate LLC, they seem to have like the greatest input on this particular sports commission. And I guess maybe that's how the makeup of the commission, maybe that's where they're going to be.
It doesn't matter. I don't care where that comes from. The NCAA
It may not be there no
for
more.
all the criticism they got every time they tried to enforce something.
Oh, yeah.
They got shot down anyway.
Yeah,
So in
well, that's what I'm
fairness to
getting
them,
at.
yeah.
This is what's going to happen here at some point in time, because somebody's going to,
Some state, it'd be a
Yeah.
state. That's where it's been here lately.
yeah.
know.
Alabama's going to, they're going to make sure that Alabama doesn't get,
You can't tell us we can't spend more. Stuff like that. So they're going to have something. And
yeah.
but I think overall, it's at least there's a start. There's some parameters somewhere, which
Yeah.
is probably. I guess it's a good thing. I don't know.
Well, here, I have one more.
I was happy getting a scholarship.
yeah,
I was
well,
too.
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was
I
happy
was
to get a
too.
scholarship.
yeah. Well, I was going to ask one thing, though, outside of if, getting Congress involved. The reason this works at the professional level is because you have unions. I mean, what are the chances that you end up with college athletic unions before this is all said and done as a way to the other side of this equation? Because, if you ask Congress to get involved, usually that just isn't going to go great. You really don't want them writing laws, because more often than not, they don't do very well
No.
to start with. And so maybe the best option is you wind up with some sort of player unions, especially for the Olympic level sports or secondary sports. I mean, like you guys played in college, they're going to need some sort of collective group, I think, to represent themselves. But we'll see how it works out. Like you said, at least we have some parameters now, and they are at least talking about some restrictions, even though 105 in football seems like a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of it's a lot.
A lot.
That's a lot of people to manage, isn't it? All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's in Glasgow. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.